Welcome back to the Koostka channel, everyone. Man, do we got a fun one for you today. Today we're testing on old pig. We're gonna try to get the engine hot, put some miles on it, climb some mountains, and go camping if everything works out well enough. So to get you caught up to speed here, let's see, I just rebuilt the turbo, put in a nice billet aluminum compressor wheel with 11 blades, and port matched to the downpipe, did a little port and polish, changed out the downpipe for a nice KBD diesel performance downpipe, and I port matched the up pipes to the turbo and to the manifolds, and the manifolds are all nice and port matched and polished, and I upgraded to the BD power full bore driver's side manifold, and I've been rocking it now for a couple hundred miles. Got everything all nice and broken in, and I gotta say there's an obvious increase in performance, and the temperature seems a little bit hotter as well, but maybe just because the temps outside are really hot. I'm not quite sure, but everything's running smooth. We get really fast spool up, we get a lot of boost, comes on pretty quick. The engine runs, it's never ran this smooth before, ever. It just purrs and hums. It's super nice. So today I wired in my pyrometer. Sitting at 285, 284. The hottest I've seen it really is about 800, and that's when I had it on wide open throttle. But otherwise, when I'm just kind of cruising around doing 55 or so, it seems like, 500 degrees, 550, depending on the incline and where my foot is in the pedal. But it also seems to drop fairly quickly as well, which is pretty nice. So that means the exhaust has a nice easy flow from the manifolds to up pipes to turbo to out the tailpipe, so that makes me happy. So let's see, on this tank of gas so far, I drove about 18.5 miles in from way over there. See those, maybe you can't see it, but there's some snowy mountains right in there. I live kind of towards the base of those mountains, and so we're quite a ways over. And we're going to be traveling behind us even further. So we got to do a little backtracking, and we're going to hit the mountains. So I'm going to put you on time lapse. We can do a little cruising. If anything exciting happens, pull over and I'll get you on videotape here and talk to you a bit more. I just wanted to show you this beautiful area real quick, like. Some good fishing back here. It's called Fish Creek. Yeah, this is kind of a swampy area. I think the creek's on the other side of that little land bridge there. And there's a trail, it's actually the first trail I ever built for trail mix, that goes around this little pond thing. Not pond, part of the creek, I don't know. It's pretty neat though. Yeah, you can see those mountains way back in there with the snow on it. That's where we came from. We're gonna be going way back up in there somewhere, quite a few miles. Transmission's already getting a little toasty, so we'll see how we do on this trip up to Eagle Crest. Eagle Crest is a little ski resort area, but usually injector number 4 gets hung up, so we'll see if that happens this time. So far no exhaust haze, so we're doing good. This old pig. About 70 degrees out right now. Doing good. Sounds good. All right, let's hit it. about 4 miles into this now. Things are getting kind of hot. So far the hottest I've seen is about 850 degrees or so. A little higher on the pyrometer. That was while doing a steady incline at about 10 psi boost. Oh, and we are getting hot. Okay. Dang, getting hot. Hope I got enough coolant in there. I'm gonna go ahead and let this cool down. I hope I got enough coolant in the reservoir. That's my big concern right now. Yeah, getting way too hot. That just jumped up. Nobody's business. Okay, keep checking in with you. Alright, we're letting it cool down a little bit. I am a little low on coolant, so I don't think I filled it up all the way. Or checked it, filled it up, checked it, filled it up after I changed the turbo. You hear one injector. It almost sounds like it wants to hang up, even though it's not bellowing an excessive amount of exhaust. But so far it's doing better than I normally would. Big old thing of coolant is the one thing I didn't bring, of course. It's cooling down, cooling down. Yeah, we're quite a ways up there now. If I can give you a perspective shot. Pretty grown over. Look at that guy. Yeah, you can't really see the ocean or anything from here. Okay, we're gonna keep on going a little bit further and maybe turn around. We're actually almost to the top though. I think we just gotta go around the corner that way. Looks like we're building a new trail too. Well, we made it to the top. Truck is running a hell of a lot better than it ever has, even though I'm low on coolant. This is Eagle Crest, little ski resort area. Really fun hiking in the summertime. You can hike back and up and over that mountain over there, across the ridge, down into this bowl. A couple places up there to do some swimming. Yeah. Not fully prepared to do that right now. It is kind of late in the day. Might do that here on a cooler day though. Alright, pig is running good. Overheating a little bit, just like the dogs and I. Let's listen to that exhaust. Sounds great. Yeah, that injector's usually hung up by now. Okay, well, we made it. I didn't really see any cool spots to camp on my way up here, so I'm gonna head back down to sea level so we can get these dogs out in the water. Yeah, it's just so freaking hot, huh, puppies? We need to get the hell out of here and go do some swimming or something. Okay. Yeah, I gotta take you up there sometime. It is fun. Alright guys, we're gonna head back down the mountain, and it's gonna be a lot easier on Old Pig because it's just going downhill and gliding. We're gonna go further north on the island of Douglas here and peep our patch, try to find a cool spot to do some camping, hang out, run the dogs, have a good time. Alright guys, well, check in with you here in a minute. beautiful Juneau. Got fish jumping. Actually, that's where we came from. I live towards the base of that glacier over there. We drove all the way back and up on there, got on a bridge, hopped over to Douglas Island. Alright, made it to our camping spot. Way out at the other end of the road. Couldn't find any good spots out at Douglas. It was overran with people. Put about 87.5 miles. Still a little low on coolant. And the EGTs just drop really fast. And no overheating issues, but I'm going to turn it off after it cools down a bit. I had picked up some coolant, so when the engine is finally cool, I can fill it back up. Just the slightest bit of haze. I don't know if that picks up. But by now I thought that injector would be a lot more hung up than it actually is. So, puppies are happy. I'm happy. Truck drive's amazing. Super smooth. I mean, if it wasn't for that low coolant, I don't think I'd have any issues at all today. That's the biggest thing, is low coolant. I didn't fill it up all the way after. Ooh, candle. Sweet. Light that up later. That's a keeper. So we're out at Echo Cove on a Thursday. Ain't nobody here. Just gotta keep driving until you don't see anyone. It's absolutely gorgeous out here. Been out here many a time. It smells good. And it's not a weekend, so there's not a ton of people. Feather. Eagle feather. Alright. I'm gonna let the truck keep cooling down a little bit, circulating that oil through the turbo to get that turbo cooled down. And yeah. Oh, now you can see that haze. Time for a new set of injectors. And really what I wanted to do while I was out here is I wanted to get the truck nice and hot and moving, and see if I can piss that injector off, or see if we got it cleaned out. And it's not totally completely pissed off, it's not stuck open, but it's got a light haze, and that's enough to that's enough at this point where I'm just going to order a new set of 45 oversack injectors. That's what we wanted to, well, it's not what you don't want to see, but if you're confused if you need injectors or not, that bit of haze there tells you everything you need to know. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get set up. Welcome back to the Gasket channel, everyone. Got a depressing one for you today. So we're going to be diagnosing high pressure in the coolant system of this 2001 LB7 Duramax GMC Sierra 3500 crew cab long bed dually. I ain't looking forward to this. I think I already know the answer to my problem, but I'm going to show you what I've been doing so far and things you can test. So I'm thinking I might have, at best, a blown head gasket or two, and that's the best case scenario, really. Otherwise we got a cracked head, or even worse, a cracked block, which is super expensive. Either way, it's super expensive. So let's start with the obvious. All right, first thing I should have showed you, but I kind of rushed the gun on, is there would be some excessive pressure in the hose if left overnight, just because of the compression building up from a cracked gasket or what have you into the coolant system, and then just holding that pressure. So that is one way to tell. The next way to tell is you are overheating and just spewing out fluid here, or not, or it's overheating and not spewing out fluid, which could mean you have a bum reservoir cap that isn't popping at 15 psi to relieve that pressure. Overheating issues could also, of course, be your thermostats as well. If you haven't changed those in a while, good to make sure that all of those are fresh anywho. But as far as head gaskets go, why I'm thinking I have a blown head gasket or head or block. You see the color of that coolant? And I just put a couple gallons of new coolant in there after I changed my turbo, and it looks pretty dirty and dark, and so does the reservoir container, which leads me to believe that somewhere in one of the heads I have a blown head gasket, and I'm leaking combustion gas through that head gasket into the coolant system, and it's turning the water, or it's turning the coolant kind of like a muddy color. I don't see any oil in the coolant. Likewise, I don't see any coolant in my oil. It does smell a bit stinky, but I think all fluids and diesel smell stinky. There might be a little bit of diesel fluid in there as well. I have a bum injector, I'll show you on a different video, but I have new injectors, new head gaskets and studs on the way, because it's an old LB7 Duramax 2001, and if anything is going to go out, it's going to be your head gaskets and your injectors. And as you see here, I have head bolts. I do not have head studs. The head bolts will hold, 75, or you torque them down to 75 pounds. The head studs you'll torque them down to 125, so you just get a lot more clamping pressure, less likely to lift the heads. So this truck has about 200,000 miles on it, and a few select performance upgrades. As you can see, cold air intake, charge pipes, turbo horn, intake heater delete, PPE boost, just rebuilt the turbo, put in a billet compressor wheel, port matched it to the brand new downpipe, and that's port matched to the turbo, and then up pipes are port matched, manifolds are port matched. We got the new full bore BD manifold down there as well, and a PPE accelerator tuner on there. So we got a few upgrades that'll create a little bit more boost, a little bit more pressure, a little bit more heat on an old gasket, and just kind of sets the timer on there. Although this could be 100% stock and still blow a head gasket. So next, we'll do a little fluid test here. You can pick these up pretty much anywhere. Amazon, Napa, I think O'Reilly's has a version as well. And let me just show you here. So in this test kit comes some blue fluid, and when this reacts with combustion gas or CO2, it'll turn the blue fluid green in a diesel, yellow in a gasoline vehicle. You fill that up to the line here, shove that in your reservoir, and it comes with a bulb, but I left that over at my buddy's. We were diagnosing both of our head gaskets. But it turns out I don't need one, because another sign of having a blown head gasket or block or cylinder head is excessive bubbling coming out of that reservoir. It's just a steady bubble, which is not supposed to happen. So it's leading me to believe that I have some exhaust pressure buildup. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up, plug this in for you so you can see what it looks like. Actually, first let's go ahead and start it up and show you the bubbling. Got it started up. Truck's not even warm yet, guys. I only ran it for a couple of minutes. And it's been doing this for quite a few days. Okay, gonna go ahead and let this warm up for a bit. And really, when you do this test fluid deletion, you want your thermostats to be open. I found with this vehicle, it'll start doing its thing even cold. So, but for the purpose of this video, purpose of this test, I'm going to go ahead and warm up the truck for a little bit, get it nice and hot, and then we'll perform the test. So check back in with you in a couple minutes. Alright guys, we're not quite up to temp. It's only been a few minutes. EGTs and everything are still pretty low. I'm going to go ahead and step on a little bit. I gotta say, even with it exhibiting the signs that it has been, normally it sits, even after I've been driving it for a couple hours, it'll sit around 180 degrees like all day, every day. But even though it's been a little bit warmer, not incredibly warm, like 70 degrees or so, pretty hot for Alaska, but it's been at 195, 200. And that's what kind of started to turn some gears in my head. I was like, wait, what's going on here? It seems a little bit hot. I know I just rebuilt the turbo and everything, did all these things to help it run cooler, but now what's going on? Something's going on. And maybe it was before, I just couldn't detect it because it was running so cool. But I can say that my coolant has been dirty for a while. That coolant reservoir tank has looked like crap ever since I bought it for the past 3 years, and it does, especially when it's hot and I've been working it hard overlanding up in the mountains. It will blow some kind of like a grayish white smoke every once in a while, and I know that injector hanging up, sticking wide open, injector number 4 will stick wide open when you get that nasty knock sound. And I bet you, I'm not a betting man, not a gambling man, but I bet you that when I pull off the passenger's or driver's side cylinder bank, that injector number 4 is going to be blown out around the head gasket, just because of all that excessive pressure that I was experiencing with overfueling, and it was just dumping smoke out the back, and it was just really bad. Marvel Mystery Oil brought me back out of that, and which is why it's running so well now. I'll show you the exhaust here in a minute. But otherwise, you know, it's driving the best it has ever driven right now with that turbo rebuild and all the exhaust work I've done on it, changing all the fluids and everything. I can say that it is running as smooth as it ever has, and probably one of the more smooth LB7s that I've seen on the internet. And I think that I am in the beginning stages of a blown head gasket is my guesstimate here. So anyways, I think it's just barely trickling, but you know, these things don't get better with age. That hole just gets bigger, it just gets worse, and if your heads and block are not correct at that point, you know, the more you run it, the more likely you are to blow those things out as well. So we're just going to go ahead and tackle it. All right, so I'm going to load up this test fluid here. I think it's warm enough for our purposes. In fact, I know it is because I've tested this thing cold, and I still got the results. So what I'm expecting to see is this blue fluid to turn green. So let's go ahead and hop out there, fill it up, I'll walk you through it, and it's going to run for about 3 to 5 minutes. So I don't know if I'll show you all 3 to 5 minutes, but just know it takes about 3 to 5 minutes or so. I might put you on a time lapse or something. That's not a good sign. You don't want see constant airflow in your system. I mean, if it just had trapped air in it, it would have bled out, a long time ago, last week. It's been 5 minutes. Just want to show you the exhaust here real quick. Running clean, smooth, and smokeless. Same with balance rates are even really good as well. And even though the engine's off, it's still bleeding off pressure. And it will get even a little greener than that. I'm squeezing it right now, but it'll get a little greener than that as well. And so we definitely have the presence of exhaust gases in the coolant system. So yeah, that's where we're at with this. So I just wanted to show you a couple of things here. If I left the cap on and ran it around the block, which I suppose we can do, you see this thing, this hose get rock hard, like Ron Jeremy rock hard. Right now it's, at half mass. But you know what, let's go ahead and just rip around the block real quick and I'll show you. I put you on time lapse so you don't spend the next 5 minutes cruising around with me. But all right, so as you see right now, half mass. We're gonna go for a little rip around the block and get it up to Ron Jeremy status. All right, because I'm getting some new SAC 45 over injectors, I just wanted to show you some data log here for the purpose of the video, just in case something changes. So we got our desired and actual fuel pressure. As you can see, they are fairly rock steady. There's not a huge amount of fluctuation. See if we can get to my injector rates. Okay, injector rates 6, 7, 8. Let's go. 4 is always my problem child when it gets stuck, but normal everyday driving on flat ground, it doesn't ever really seem to spew. I gotta say, when I ran it pretty hard at the mountain the other day after I put in the turbo, and I had a little bit of overheating issues, and yeah, actually I had some pretty big overheating issues. I thought I was just low on coolant, but I think, thinking back on it, probably tied all in with this head gasket issue, over pressurizing of the coolant system issue. The injector 4 seemed like it wanted to stick a little bit, but not as bad as it has in the past. I've seen it absolutely bellow, and it usually gets stuck at negative 5.5, which is pretty much wide open for an injector, and had that classic. It'll have that classic injector knock. Keep scrolling through here. That's actually the highest nice. I've ever really seen it. After I drive it around, these injector rates get pretty good too. It'll get even better after it's warm. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave this logged in here, and we'll go cruise around the block. We're back. That was probably about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so in real time. The fastest I got was about 50 miles per hour, so nothing crazy. Cooling down, EGT is about 301. I gotta say, EGT's cools down pretty quick in this truck with all the nice things I've done to it. Temp is a bit high, I think, for this truck, at least. It's probably, I don't know, maybe low 60s, high 50s here right now. And I was only gone for like 10 minutes. I got a camper on the back, which is, you know, rebuilt. So maybe 1,000 to 1,500 pounds. It's not super heavy. It's a pretty small camper for this size truck, being a dually. And I should be sitting at around 180. All day long. You know, I should be able to drive this thing all freaking day and never go past 180. But you know, we're up there. We're like 2 ticks away from 210, so that's pretty hot. And I'll say, you know, when I go out the road and you know, I took her for over a 100-mile rip the other day while I was diagnosing and testing and just checking things out, and I really could not get it above this temperature until I was doing some extreme climbing. And so I'm glad I'm not out, you know, overlanding this summer. I took the summer off to work on the truck and do some upgrades, but I didn't think I'd be doing head gaskets and studs. But I'm glad I'm going to, because it's an LB7, it's a 20-year-old truck, and the head gaskets have come a long ways, and studs are, of course, always preferable. All right, down to 275, 274. We'll go ahead and show you the Ron Jeremy under the hood. Okay, I want to show you these injector rates after I've driven the truck, and it's, you know, up to temp. Everything's up to temp. So you got a little better reading on injector 1. Try to get this glare everywhere. Okay, just have to deal with it. But as you can see, I mean, oops, go the other way. As you can see, these injector rates are amazing. Number 4 being the problem child, but you know, it not being worked, it's not getting stuck. And I've owned this truck now for about almost 3-4 years now. I bought it the very end of 2017, or no, 2018, January 2018. So 4 years or so. And I'll say that the injector would get stuck just normal driving around town and bellow smoke. It actually took a couple diesel purges and using Marvel Mystery Oil for one of those diesel purges, and then I'd throw in a bottle, or at least a quart or 2 quarts of Marvel Mystery Oil in every tank of fuel. And I did that for several months, if not like a year or 2. And now I'm at, you know, maybe putting it in once a month, and it works fine, unless I take it to Prince of Wales and then I piss off the injector immediately, because there's a lot of long hauls and big mountains, and you know, I'll drive all day and drive up and around anything and work this truck hard. there's a couple overheating issues, but just putting around town like we are, injector is fine. So we're going to go ahead and pull all these injectors and get the SAC 45s in there, and but I'm going to do the head gaskets and studs at the same time. So let's go ahead and check under the hood. Okay, we're under the hood here, and this is hot as hell for one, like super hot, and we are officially at Ron Jeremy status. That feels like it wants to pop. If this hose was in any worse condition, it would pop. Also wanted to draw your attention to the coolant hose. It's supposed to be 3/8 that runs into turbo, and that's huge. It's huge. It's on the verge of popping itself. It's really hot, so I'll be changing that line out as well. But yeah, that is bulging right now. Let's see if we can get a temp test here. So we're rocking under 64 degrees. I'm not going to pop that cap because that will just spell trouble for us and get absolutely everywhere. Let's see if I can get some of these hoses. Not terribly hot, but $186 on the thermostats. So even my alternator feels hot. I was doing this yesterday. My buddy came over and he was standing next to the engine. He's like, wow, I don't think I've ever felt this engine this hot before. Just standing next to it, he said it's just emitting a ton of heat. And he's been on overlanding trips and been in this truck quite a bit. So yeah. Anyways, just wanted to draw your attention to how stiff that is. And I would suspect that this would be releasing some pressure at least. There's got to be more than 15 pounds PSI built up in there. So I'm going to go buy a new cap, get some engine degreaser, and clean up this engine bay a bit before I dig in. You can see there's all kinds of dirt and crap everywhere, so as soon as I start pulling things, dirt's going to fall in all my channels and stuff, so I might as well get all the grease and dirt out of the way beforehand. Just make it for a cleaner uninstall, reinstall. Alright guys, just wanted to get you up to speed on the developments. I have a suspected head gasket issue in a 2001 LB7. No surprise. It seems like that's just how it goes with these trucks. The gaskets have a ring around the cylinder and it's crimped, and where that crimp is usually what blows out. So when that blows out, it'll reach the coolant channel and start pumping exhaust gases into it, which pressurizes your coolant system and causes a bad day for everyone. So that's just the way it is. LB7 needs a new head gasket. It has head bolts on it, so we're going to put studs. We're going to put the updated grade C gasket on there, which is a little thicker material, completely new design, and it's what they put on the newer Duramaxes as well, and tried and true, so it should be good to go. And then also I ordered some 45 over sack nozzle injectors from Lincoln Diesel Specialties. So that should be on its way with the full master install kit and some brand new high pressure lines. So pretty excited for all that. I'll show you all that here in a bit when it comes in. Then I went on to KB Diesel Performance and found some nice head studs for a pretty good price, like 350 bucks. Also got those new gaskets on the way, a couple new thermostats, and what else did I get from them? Oh, I think I got the I got the fuel rail pressure plug, so that spring doesn't crap out on me. And if it does, you know, or I mean, if it already is crapping out, you know, whatever, it's getting replaced. But I'm gonna get a new one plugged in there so that, you know, just to prevent some issues further down the line, since everything's coming out anyways, might as well just replace it while everything's out. Make it easy on myself. Okay, that's gonna do it, guys.